Hi, this is Little House of Geeky, and this is Outside the Loonaverse, where we analyze Luna's music videos as standalone works. Today we will be looking at Vivid by Heejin. I'd like to start by stating that the story presented in this music video explores how one can redefine their circumstances with their imagination. This music video is about the power of escapism. Colour, as the title suggests, plays an integral part of the story, and we start in a house completely devoid of it, as well as sound, aside from a blank record. Heejin is introduced through an immediate switch to bold primary colours at the start of the song. We associate Heejin with colour and sound in this place. She is playful and coy, in red, a recurring symbol in the Luna filmography. Through this and the title, we now have an understanding of the importance of colour, sound, and how it relates to Heejin. Our main conflicts in Vivid are monotony and class, which feed off of each other. I'll start first with exploring how class is shown. When Heejin's superior is introduced, Heejin's own colours shift to pastels, and due to our understanding of how important colour is, we see that herself has been diluted by the black and white of her boss. The boss represents the power struggle and the fantasy Heejin aspires to. The social structure is enforced through the choice of shots. The boss, whose face is never fully shown, is mostly portrayed as a distant but ever-present reminder of this divide for the audience. The power dynamic is demonstrated in the staging of the two when they're together. The boss sits as Heejin stands, which is a luxury for a manual worker. When she is fully present with Heejin in the room, emphasis is placed on her lips and hands, which are giving orders. She is also silent. An interesting choice made is the fact that her words are also in another language, so we have barriers between the two on a number of levels. The boss's orders are in French, which is considered a language of the rich and privileged, which emphasizes that socio-economic divide. The boss also represents Heejin's aspirations. When her superior isn't present, Heejin emulates a luxurious lifestyle. It is, however, a falsity, and like how we see her in the mirror, it is not her reality. I find the scene of her in the mirror an interesting one. There are multiple versions of her, and although they are all smiling, they are in the same outfit, which brings us to talking about monotony. The motifs of repetition are shown through objects. Piles of golf balls, rabbits, reflections, different sides of the same thing. The lyrics also emphasize this, with one part stating, "Even out of a magician's hat, I only get the same two animals every time. Although she finds entertainment in this house, it's always the same." The rabbit is an important symbol for Heejin, and we can see that through how it is introduced to us. As Heejin lies on the ground and asks of her situation, "Should I stay? Should I run?" we see a painting with white rabbits, then a real one, and when she interacts with this rabbit, the painting has changed. The rabbits have now multiplied in real life, and she is surrounded, enclosed by the same rabbits, same vases, in a room of pastel. It's interesting to note though that her table in this shot is filled with unique and bold coloured items, which reinforce the internal and external conflict. While the specific number of rabbits does more directly relate to Luna, the animal itself is a motif to the theme of monotony. Rabbits have an extensive history in folklore and act as a symbol of fertility in most cultures. The rabbits multiply, but at the end of the day it's the same thing. One could also connect the rabbit with the birth of Heejin's story as she begins her escape after the rabbits appear. I believe it is also related to the moon rabbit, a famous folk story in Asia. Most theorists have gone into great detail about the moon rabbit, and if you haven't, go have a quick read as it's pretty important to the Loonaverse, in my opinion. The moon rabbit spends his days on Earth and then on the moon toiling away, forever pounding rice in the mortar. And I think we can apply that aspect to Heejin, the servant who toils away endlessly for their superior as the rabbit does. While in the folk story the rabbit is rewarded by being immortalized on the moon, he's still working endlessly. The Grasshopper song by Sunny Hill also revisits another tale like this, albeit more directly. How we are shown Heejin's perception is through her gaze. We are first introduced to Heejin with the shot of her eyes opening, the first shot in colour. A rainbow hovers over her left eye. A bright red spider covers the right. Heejin's gaze is partly concealed or altered in these shots by these objects. She sees and projects primary colours, and her view of the world is altered because of that. From this, we can gather that we see this world through her and not necessarily how it really is. I feel that the spider may also be a symbol like the rabbit. I couldn't find much in Korean folklore about spiders outside of a children's tale called The Bear and the Spider, but my interpretation of it is that in this context, Heejin weaves a web of colours slowly throughout the house, but cobwebs are easily dusted away. That's just a side note and something to consider. As we lead further into Heejin's story, as she begins to give in to the idea of escaping, we see her explore a bathroom filled with colourful floating objects, similar looking to the ones on the table earlier, but spread out and acting as an arch to draw our eyes to the window, the light of somewhere else. There are also no identical objects here. It is here that we also have a shot of Heejin in a bath of pastel blue. Although in this bath she is decorated and elegant, she's again engulfed in pastel, not a primary colour. So what does Heejin want? Heejin struggles to find her own world and happiness. She dreams of being afforded the freedom her boss has, to leave the confines of her situation and find her colour. Her imagination is special within this narrative and wants to flourish, but it is blocked and she cannot live in her own world. When she begins to reconnect to her aspirations and determination, the house changes even more. She likens her life to a play or film, singing happy ending, same ending once again, and the furniture begins to melt. When we reach the bridge, Heejin has made her decision to chase her dreams, and with it, a world filled with bright, vivid colours like she wanted. The rainbow is an extension of her aspirations, and these bold primary colours envelop the pastels. This colourful effect that transforms the house emulates an expressionist or Fauvist painting. Styles that focus on depicting scenes emotionally rather than realistically. What a fantastic little reference. But suddenly the presence of the boss reappears, the reminder of reality. The rainbow swiftly retracts and the world is silent again, but the colour remains, and Heejin is back to menial labour. We are given a hopeful ending, as although Heejin isn't wearing red, she is wearing green. It seems that things have changed. Perhaps she was fired, perhaps she left, or maybe we see a different part of the house, but we are now spectators, no longer privy to Heejin's thoughts, and she no longer looks at us. The scene remains colourful though. Our perspective on her boss and her world has changed, and we can now think on what her fate may be as she turns her head to a light, harkening back to the lyrics, "I don't want to become numb to myself without the light." The light is outside of the frame, but we see its effect on Heejin all the same. Things have changed. Escapism is a coping mechanism, a way for our brain to relax and be diverted from the immense stresses in our day-to-day life. We look at escapism mainly in two ways. The first is that it is an excuse to avoid your problems. It's lazy. The second is that it is healthy and normal and what creativity is built upon. Vivid is a reflection upon us. Is it useless to dream and neglect your duties for a freedom of self, even if those duties come from an imbalance in society? Heejin asks us, will you change it? Something I'd like to note, and what leads to another interpretation, is the fact that the boss is also played by Heejin. Now, this could have been a financial decision or something else unrelated to the message, but it is important to note. This could suggest an inner conflict rather than one with exterior influences. Vivid and all of the Luna music videos can have multiple interpretations, and I'd like to hear yours. What did Vivid say to you? Let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.